Is there anything that could happen today to make words turn into action when it comes to the migrant crossings?
When it comes to the migrant crossing, and because at this summit you will have many countries that suffer from migration even much more than France and Britain, such as Greece and Italy and other countries in the Southern Balkans, I suspect that it's not going to be as granular as saying, OK, we're putting more money, we're securing more beaches. But I certainly think that it's something that Liz Truss will find in common with several countries that will say, in effect, we suffer from this. We have had a sort of lack of attention from Europe. We've had just camps sort of taking up some of our islands. And you also will have countries such as Sweden, whose government have turned precisely on issues such as migration. So I don't think Liz Truss is in such a bad position. I think things will come out of it, but it certainly brings sort of continent-wide validation from countries that are members of the EU and countries that are not members of the EU, and it makes the problem, again, a Europe-wide problem, which actually it is.
And what is the significance of that? As you say, clearly Liz Truss wanting to indicate she is still outside the EU, but looking for a European solution to this problem, and the whole instance of friend or foe and all that sort of built up previously with Macron. Is this, a real change of mood music?
I think, yes, you're quite right. There's a change of mood music, mostly because Emmanuel Macron and Boris Johnson did not understand one another, did not like one another. Each represented what the other hated most. To Macron, Boris Johnson was sort of a blustering Englishman who didn't prepare anything and sort of winged it every time. And this is something that Macron was a sort of very sort of top-down, organized French bureaucrat, and he was a member of the French civil service for a long time, longer than anything else, on the one hand, and Boris Johnson didn't like the perceived arrogance and the idea that everything was set in concrete from Macron, and both of them have a kind of different hubris, and it's very obvious that they clash. I don't think it's only personal. I think there are different interests, and certainly Macron for a very long time pushed in the EU for the hardest possible line in the Brexit negotiations. I think Ukraine has changed everything. I think Emmanuel Macron has finally realized that he was essentially led by the nose by Vladimir Putin. He has also seen the horrifying news of torture chambers and kidnapping of children and a number of things in Ukraine, which he has finally condemned in the harshest terms. And he is facing the reality of the war on the continent, and he's also facing the reality of the economic crisis that's going to hit us. And I suspect that there is now a window of opportunity in which France and Britain could agree on a number of things, and they include those sore points like immigration, the Northern Irish border, for instance, etc. All of these things are possible because there needs to be a united Europe.